Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Now, I did take my last video down on community management and how I think Nelson's bad at it, because there were some points in there that I got wrong. There were some points I got right, but there were some points I got wrong, and that's just not how I want to make my videos with, kind of false stuff in them. So I've taken that down. If you do want to see all my reasoning behind that, you can check the thread on Reddit if you are interested in that. But I'm just going to forget about that and start this video. So, of course, as always, let's start with, oh, well, all my quality shit, so sorry about that. I will take steps to, improve my quality as much as I can, and if I do end up getting lots of support on these videos, then I will try and buy new equipment. But as of right now, that's not really a priority for me. So in this video, as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about maps and how they can be made better for 4.0, and just some other small things. So let's begin. Now, I want to start with the good maps of 3.0, the medium maps of 3.0, and the bad maps of 3.0. So starting off with Russia and Washington, what I consider the two best maps. Now, the reason I do consider these the best maps is for Russia, one, it's just my favorite map in general, but I love Russia's tier system. So, when you spawn, you've got the beaches, and then just above you, you've got camps and farms, small towns like Yekaterinburg, then you've got your St. Petersburg, Moscow Firewatch line, and then above that you've got Zavod, Millicamp, Volk, and Silo. So it has a real good tier system, and that's what I really love about Russia, because it just helps set the pace of the game, especially from start to finish when you're playing by yourself. Washington, on the other hand, I'm not the biggest fan of. I have got it up in the top tier, but I only put it there. It's not a good survival map in my opinion. It is an amazing PvP map though. It has all the right things for PvP, right? It has good borders with the rivers, but also ways across those borders with the bridges. And Seattle, in my opinion, is probably the best PvP city, especially with all the towers in it. Well, not all the towers. I don't want many towers, but your 3 towers on Seattle and your crane. It just works well. And that's why I think those two are kind of your top tier. Now moving down to the medium maps, we've got Hawaii and Germany. Now, Germany, I do like better Hawaii. If I had to, I would put Germany in the top tier. But the only reason I don't is because I don't like the placement things. I don't like how it doesn't have the tier system like Russia. But what I do love about Hawaii and Germany is the Easter eggs, along with the Russia Easter egg. These are some really good things, and as I mentioned in the previous video, I love Easter eggs, so I think they work well together, and that's why they're kind of medium maps. I do like them. I don't like Hawaii's kind of water theme. I mean, I do like it in the sense that it's a good idea to have more water-themed maps. I just don't like how it's done on Hawaii, and I like Germany's mountain theme, but I just don't like how it's set up in the towns and stuff. Now, moving down to the bottom tier, we've got PEI, and I've just never liked PEI, I'm going to be honest. It's just not that good of a map. It's, it's kind of set out random, hasn't got much long-term survivability. It's just not much to do on there, and I think that comes down to it being a small map. Now, you notice I didn't mention Greece or Yukon, and the reasons for them, I haven't played on them that much. Yukon, I think it's got a good idea, like Hawaii with water and Germany with mountains. I just don't think that it's got no long-term appeal, because it's a small map and hasn't got many towns, hasn't got much of anything. So I think using it as a long-term map, it's just not going to happen. But I do like its kind of gimmick, I guess you could say, with its snow. Greece, I just haven't played enough on it. I have a feeling it'll be a medium tier like Hawaii and Germany. I like the design of it with the buildings and all that. It's a nice aesthetic. I don't know about the actual gameplay parts of it, so I can't really comment on those. So that's my thoughts for 3.0 maps, and now I want to give kind of the 4.0 ideas that I have, and how they can make it better. I'm going to start with some more general things. So just stuff I want to see. More Easter eggs. And whether that be the large Easter eggs or the smaller Easter eggs, I don't really care. It would be just cool to have more of them. They're fun. I can't imagine they're that hard to do in terms of gameplay. I mean, I have no idea. I'm not Nelson, so I don't really know how hard they are, but they couldn't be that hard to code, I would assume. But just having more of them would add to the maps, give more stuff to do, and along with the kind of more Easter eggs and more stuff to do, I want to see more and different types of events. I would love to see, we've got Blood Moon and airdrops right now, but they're not really cool, and it just doesn't really make sense to me. I would love to see like, uh, I would love to see like a kind of swarm event where crap tons of zombies swarm a city, or even a better horde event where like a large horde of maybe 50 zombies walks around the map in a set track and can run off and attack players if they find them, or attack bases if they find them. I think that would be really cool. It would just give the maps more dynamic options. And along with dynamic options, I would also love to see more city-wide actual gameplay options and large changeable things in cities. And what I mean by this is stuff like electrical mainframes. So having a switchboard in the subway where players can turn off and on the lights, or they can turn off and on metal bollards that come out on the streets, spike strips, bridges that open up, or elevators that can be turned off and on. Anything like that, I think, would just add to the game and just make it more modular, and I think that would be a really cool option. The other thing with modularity would be destructibility, and kind of taking Battlefield 4's version of destructibility. I think that would be really cool to add to Unturned, being able to take down walls, roofs, and all sorts of things. Now, saying that, I don't think that's ever going to happen, not with a one-man developing team. It would just be too hard, but it would be cool to see, even in just some little things. I think would be awesome. And so that's kind of my, general stuff I'd like to see. I think they would just be, just anything you added off that list would just make the game better, make it more long-term appeal for the maps. Now for some of my more specific stuff, coming back to Russia, like I said in the last bit, I want to see better loot tier systems in terms of loot ladders when you go up the map, like Russia has, in terms of its, again, farms, then small cities, large cities, and your military section. And it will just, again, give more long-term ability to the map, make it better for new players, and it'll just add more to the map, in my opinion. I would love to see, even when the higher you go up on the map, the harder the zombies get, but the better the loot gets, adding more of, again, a tier system. And I think that would just be really cool and make the game much better. And for cities, I want to see cities should be bigger in general, and they should have really cool transport options like subway trains, trams, or like zip lines between buildings shot by previous surviving players, or makeshift bridges between skyscrapers. I think they'll just add a lot more PvP ability to the map for more ways to get around the map, and just, cool little dynamic things. Shoot out the bridges or take down the zipline lines. That would just be really cool and make the map more dynamic. And then overall, I think just in general, something that 3.0 doesn't really get right with its maps is the worn down look. And because 3.0 doesn't try at that at all, in my opinion. This is, a post-apocalyptic world where zombies rule. The buildings should be fucked. Everything should look fucked, but it doesn't. It just kind of looks normal, like you're just taking a stroll on a Sunday afternoon. Buildings should, have tears in them, wallpaper should be gone, burn down buildings like we have in Germany, and some just other cool stuff. It should look like a real disaster zone. Now, a good example for this would be Overgrown. I wouldn't like all the maps to be exactly like Overgrown, but some cool little vines going up buildings, stuff to show that these buildings aren't being taken care of. They're being destroyed. That's what I would like to see in more for 4.0. Now, for specific maps, I do have two ideas for specific maps that I would like to see, and that would be a Brazil map with kind of like 3 different types of places. I would have a rich zone, like Copacabana Beach and the surrounding city. And then I would also like some sort of shanty towns, and then some really heavy forest, like really heavy, only see 5 meters in front of you heavy forest for the Amazon with, cool Amazon river going through. I think this would be just a really cool map to play when you switch between these real different environments. And it would just be, a good, and we have a lot of Brazilian players on Unturned, so I think it would just, give them something in the game themselves. The other map I would like to see, being Australian myself, and loving Australia as much as I do, I would love to see an Australian map. I would, I'd give my left nut for it at this point. An Australian map would just be so awesome. I love the tier system that Russia has, but with a bit of a different. I'd love to see Melbourne and Sydney down the bottom, or as your kind of mid tier. Uh, as your lowest tier, you could have stuff like Blacktown, St Kilda, your smaller towns, and then move up in the middle. I would love to have a large dead zone surrounding Uluru and an outback setting all around Uluru. If you don't know what Uluru is, it's the world's largest rock located right in the middle of Australia. And having like a fortress in Uluru would just be a really cool dynamic and just I think would be so amazing. Then above that you could have Perth and Brisbane as kind of up the top as military bases. And I think all of that would be really cool. Some other things, some stadiums I'd like to see for Australia. You could do the MCG or the SCG, but I know there's a bunch of stadiums, soccer stadiums in Brazil, and all kind of things around the world. So stadiums, I think, would just be a cool building to add. Now, finally, I'm going to just talk about some things to avoid in 4.0, and sign off with predictable spawn locations. This is something that Washington does really bad, and it's the main drawback of Washington, even though it is a good map. Washington spawns are just horrific. Like, you just die instantly, especially on a creative server or OP server where there's so much PvP, and it's just like it's laughable, honestly, the spawns there. The other thing I want to avoid is mass amounts of tall buildings. I do want some tall buildings to provide verticality to the maps, but just not like real big skyscrapers dotting the map everywhere. And when you do have tall buildings, the other thing is you must have multiple ways to get to the top of a building. When you only include one way, or like in Washington on both the skyscrapers, no ways to get to the top, it makes them just farm zones because the person at the top can just shoot everyone and doesn't have to worry about anyone getting up top. It's just really annoying. So having stuff like elevators up to the top, fire exits up to the top, and then even heck ladders just randomly outside of the building, that would just be really good for how the game should play and how PvP should play in large buildings. That's kind of all I got for today. Again, sorry for the last video, and sorry for the quality of this video. If you did enjoy, please think about liking and subscribing. I do this because of the support I get from people coming on the Discord, Shaman's put in the description, and telling me that they like what I'm doing, and people on Reddit that comment that they like what I'm doing. So if you do feel like liking and subscribing, that would be awesome. Now, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and thank you for not being a cunt, I hope.